Celeste Malvar Stewart, Fashion and Textiles. I create sustainable fashion and textiles using wool and alpaca fiber from local farms. Every piece is handmade. Because I know the sheep, I'm able to consider the different properties of their wool to influence my designs. I embrace a little bit of chaos in my work. Columbus's proximity to local fiber farms allows me to explore different fibers that I might not otherwise consider. The inclusive way the arts community in Columbus interacts, shares, and supports artists is incredibly inspiring. I'm Celeste Malvar Stewart. Fashion is my art, and there is no place I'd rather make it.
I'm here with Oliver Chen, head of retail and luxury goods at Cowen and Company. He is one of my favorite analysts, and I'm so excited to speak with you today, Oliver.
Liz, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you've talked a lot about retail's modernization imperative. What are the major themes you see emerging, and how would you describe the future of retail?
Yeah, there are three things happening that we're really focused on. One is the rise of online grocery. So by 2025, we expect about 25% of grocery purchases will be online. In tandem with this is curbside pickup. Curbside pickup is a really wonderful illustration of bricks meets clicks meets convenience. And this adoption has really accelerated. The second thing I'd focus on is what I call S.T.A.R. So what does S.T.A.R mean? Sustainability, transparency, authenticity, and re-commerce. And this is really important, particularly for the younger customer. As we survey customers at Cowen, about 35% of 18 to 34-year-olds really value social causes and mission as part of their purchasing decision. At the same time, re-commerce, it's growing over 30%. Liz, I know you like re-commerce too. And that's a key factor. The third and final point is this at-home revolution. So what does at-home mean? It means live streaming. It means culture. It means changing retail to really embrace what's customer-centric amidst the pandemic and taking care of your family, health and wellness, self-care. Those are all major themes.
Great. There's a lot to unpack there, but let's start with building community and fostering engagement. How do retailers do that with customers who are shopping at home, and who's doing it well?
Well, I think the real factor here is driving user-generated content and community and demand creation that's led by customers. So embracing formats like social media, TikTok, others, and really celebrating you do you and personal style, as well as integrating these societal issues we have at play are really important. So we love brands like Aerie, Glossier, who are rethinking retail, Bombas, and giving back. Warby Parker's been a pioneer. And these missions are important, as well as being playful and differentiated, online and offline in stores, and embracing things that happen virally as well. ELF's done a good job on TikTok too. So there's a lot of examples, and really retail is really integrating with social media, and social media is a big part of influencers and what's happening at very micro, authentic levels.
I've noticed you're doing some TikToks recently. They're very ethereal. I kind of like I like the content that you're producing.
Well, it's test, read, and react, and it's fun. And what's interesting about TikTok is it really allows one of the most creative generations ever to express themselves in short form. So seeing that flourish is very interesting. And brands, whether they like it or not, are part of the platform. As customers love brands, and brands represent trust.
Let's tease that out a little bit. Let's talk about some of the ways that this generation is different than the generations that went before them. So I'm talking about millennials and the younger generation. You mentioned the stars theme. You talked about expressing themselves. How are they different, and how can brands really engage in that and tap into that without just giving lip service to it? And also, you talked about some of the social justice themes. Is that important? And how can brands weigh in on that when there might be consumers on different sides of the issue?
Yeah, I think what I really think about in terms of Gen Z is a very realistic generation that's focused on value and convenience and leads an accelerated lifestyle. So, what does that mean? It means really focusing on what value means. Value may come in price, but value also comes in the features you offer and how you can help that consumer live a better life. Life hacks, do it yourself. Those are key themes. And then I think personal style remains important. Creativity, internationalism, and this accelerated lifestyle are all key aspects of what's happening with Generation Z, as well as value and a realistic perspective. Um, Racial justice and social justice is an interesting topic. I think increasingly consumers are looking for brands to take a stand. And if they don't take a stand, that's also taking a stand. So everybody's not going to be happy, but you really have to think about this and incorporate it into your strategies and take a view because not taking a view is a view as well. And ideally, it really intertwines with the mission of the company and what you're trying to do over a long time horizon.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about tactics. So, probably the biggest shift as a result of COVID was the rapid adoption of BOPUS and curbside pickup. Target and Walmart are leading there. Are we just are they just poised to grab share and continue gaining market share because they were so strong at executing on this during this pandemic?
Yeah, Liz, there's this constant theme of less is more. And unfortunately, less is more means less trips too and less traffic. So there's been a certain degree of consolidation of shopping trips. And what does that mean? It means broadline retailers that offer multiple categories are very advantaged. Also, this curbside pickup modality, Walmart was working on it years before, and we loved it before, but the pandemic has made people embrace it and love it and experience it. The net promoter scores of curbside pickup are extremely high across both Walmart and Target. You see Walmart moving into non-grocery, and you see Target moving into grocery. So the frequency happening here, the broad lines exposure at Costco as well, are key benefits. And what's happening is a certain degree of bifurcation where the big are getting bigger, as well as the K economy with respect to consumers and the higher end being stronger and the lower end looking for value and exceptional prices. So we think the bottom line is that it will stick and broadlines experiences are advantaged, as well as this whole revolution happening with curbside.
Do you think it'll stick in soft lines, or will there be some swing
Yeah,
back?
Liz, I think you and I have a long history in soft lines. It's kind of where we were born in our careers, and I love clothing and change. What continues to happen, and it's a 10-year trend, is athletic leisure and lounge, and this is the year of lounge with respect to nobody really needing pants and much unless they're stretchy and comfortable. We look really nice and dressed up here, but it's a huge problem. That being said, we also have this interesting situation, COVID on, COVID off trades, as well as the stress and uncertainty around opening. So there's a lot of pent up weddings and events and celebrations that we all want to do. Like I'd love to see you in person.
Yeah,
You
let's have
need
a
a
dinner
great outfit
party.
for that. So there's a lot of pent up potential here, but apparel's been tough. It continues to be tough.
Yeah. I guess a corollary to that is that the outlook for malls seems to get even more bleak in a post COVID era. I think you've updated your long term outlook for how many malls will close. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we see the total count going to 600. So we've lowered it and we've been proactive about lowering the number of malls. And the best malls are getting better. So that's A malls. And then the worst malls are getting worse, unfortunately. What's happened in the pandemic is this round of bankruptcies, particularly with major anchors like J.C. Penney and closures at Macy's and closures nearly across the whole universe, leads to more closures and traffic losses, as well as the extreme acceleration of online. So it remains to be seen what will happen. That being said, people are making quick and swift decisions around their store bases, which should ultimately yield a healthier environment. And as you know, the store's really changed. The store is really a hub or a customer acquisition point, and that needs to continue to happen. And people need to think about flexibility in their store formats and also versatility and rethinking the leases too. It's been very stressful, unfortunately. And I grew up going to the mall, being obsessed and excited about the mall. It'll be a different kind of excitement going forward. What are your favorite parts of re-commerce and what have you enjoyed?
So what I said pre-pandemic is I felt like it was re-commerce and rental are sort of increasing the velocity of fashion, right? I'm getting dressed up more and I'm wearing more new things. I think last year, you asked about re-commerce and I'm talking about rental, sorry, off script. But last year, Rent the Runway told me that I wore Rent the Runway outfits 93 days of the year, which is just phenomenal. I mean, I'm a super user, but wow. What I like about both rental and re-commerce is that it allows me to have a much broader wardrobe for less money. And my husband likes that too. And so I like that I can buy a bag for $2,000 and, maybe get $800 out of it on the back end. I recently sold a Cartier watch because I don't really wear a watch anymore. And it was silver. I don't really wear silver anymore. So I think I got something like 60% of my value back. And then I went and bought something else. And so that's my favorite part of re-commerce. I don't shop. I don't buy as much. And I think I've heard from RealReal in the past. I don't know if this is still their thing, but that they buy from women in certain zip codes and sell to women in other zip codes. I've now moved to the Hudson Valley, so maybe I'm going to become more of a buyer and less of a seller now that I don't live in New York City. But I really do like to buy something with the thought that this will retain some value that I can capture on the back end.
Has that perspective for you changed in terms of when you do buy things, thinking about the after value? And how much of your wardrobe is available for sale, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, since I started being a super user of Rent the Runway less, so I'm buying fewer things.
Mhm.
I am buying. It's kind of bookends. I'm buying a lot of loungewear that has no value, or I guess I could sell it to ThredUp. And sometimes I do a wardrobe cleanup and just, sell it all to ThredUp. But in terms of stuff that actually has value, I would say it's probably only 10% of my wardrobe. When I first started using RealReal, I did a kind of big cleanup. I had like this really, it looks like I'm all pink all day, but I had this like magenta, bag and shoes that I thought were really fabulous at the time, but then a couple of years later, they just seemed like they were very of a moment. I think it was YSL bag back when it was YSL, and these like Louis Vuitton shoes, and I just thought they were so fabulous. And then I was like, where am I? Also, I can't even wear those 4-inch heels anymore because I'm getting old. So.
Well, I think what happens in re-commerce is it's another person's treasure. Also,
Yeah.
the reality of it is not producing new things, and doing that really drives sustainability and improves your carbon footprint. We see a really bright future for both re-commerce and rental, doubling market share at the expense of other apparel categories. And there's really a proliferation anywhere from ThredUp to the RealReal, peer-to-peer marketplaces, as well as managed marketplaces. So the evolution of this will continue in our view. And it also enables a lot of extreme value because goods are anywhere from 40 to 80% off. And also, Liz, I think what can happen is you can upgrade your wardrobe with things that are better for you, given the tremendous value. And less is more. I think consumers are also looking for a certain degree of simplification.
Yeah.
Liz, what about health and wellness and your thoughts around what you've been doing? We used to see each other a lot in the Pilates studio.
I actually bought a Peloton 2.5 years ago, and I love it. I'm a big convert. Going into it, I had like 500 SoulCycle rides lifetime. They give you on the app, they tell you what your deal is. Now I have about 300 Peloton rides, and I have definitely, I'm sort of never going back, sorry to say. I've been engaging in a lot of other sort of at-home fitness, some kind of small studios. We're doing like the Facebook Live thing. I haven't gotten a mirror yet. I'm intrigued. I want to know your opinion. But yeah, it's completely shifted. And even, our small Pilates studio, shout out to Chelsea Movements. They were encouraging people to engage with the instructors via via Facebook Live and other like Zoom workouts or whatever. And so I think it's really shifted. But now that people have outfitted their home for working out, found the space, it is so much more convenient, and you still get this engagement if you do it right, I think.
Yeah, Liz, I think that's another great example of community building, Peloton, and the community aspect. Also, the reality of the stimulus from the leaderboard and engagement and high-fiving online, and trying to replicate that live experience in your home. So it's a variation on a few things, whether that be live streaming as well as platforms. And platforms was something I didn't mention earlier, but platforms are an important part of the future of retail with respect to these new kinds of department stores being developed, whether that be Farfetch, Real, and many others. There's these new ways and new forums for people to connect, and that includes Peloton across a lot of different options. The flip side of platforms is they're not profitable often, and they're building users to drive profitability over time. That makes it pretty tough for new entrants, and it also could yield a fairly consolidated industry / consolidating. So we'll see. But Peloton mirror the live streaming aspect, the importance of content. I mean, in some ways, every retailer is a media company as well, with the innovation around content being so important to driving innovation. So we see that happening too. And I think the pandemic really drives this theme of self-care and care for your family and friends and loved ones as an important part for retail to engage in. And that covers a wide variety. It covers the pharmacy at Walmart. It covers diabetes. It covers also cooking and how to take care of your family that way, and nutrition and transparency.
Yeah. How have you, what's your like home glow up been? I think we're all trying to figure out like what's our Zoom backdrop. How are we living at home that maybe replicates going out to dinner or a spa experience? How have you invested in your home in this period of the pandemic?
Beauty and advent calendars. I think ordering from international websites like great retailers I love, like Selfridges and others, looking at their curation. The Peloton's part of the story. I think cocktail culture, looking at other people making cocktails. Bulgari has some great examples on YouTube. I think enjoying some of the digital fashion shows, and then having good lighting is really important. And I think getting sunlight and figuring out the right way to get sunlight regularly in a safe manner is really important as well. Exercise, sleep, I think scientifically, we're all trying to manage to that. So those are aspects. I love the shop too. So retail therapy has not been healthy with the checkbook, but it still soothes me. I mean, in-store is a ton more fun, but the re-commerce and sites like the Real have so much newness coming in every day that journey is exciting.
So Oliver, a lot of the mall culture grew up sort of catering to the middle class and really on the backs of the middle class. I think as we've seen growing disparity between the haves and have-nots, and the future of the middle class is kind of in question. How do you see that playing out? And what are the themes that we can see in retail that are evidence of kind of this growing inequality?
Yeah, Liz, one of the retailers that really does a good job focusing on the middle segment is Kohl's. So A, Kohl's is off mall. B, the product composition is rapidly changing. So thinking about athletic brands and indexing into athletic brands, as well as activewear and leisure being a bigger part of the total assortment, and a focus on beauty too. So shopping has really changed where suiting and coordinated goods are not as needed in this new environment and the way people work and live, and versatility, value are key themes. Also, Kohl's has a partnership with Amazon. So you can do Amazon returns in Kohl's, and Kohl's has a partnership with supermarkets and gyms. So the transformation of space to drive traffic in this new way is a big factor. Second major factor is EDLP, everyday low prices. So Walmart being a real leader here and being super committed to value in every market is a key theme, and very important because Americans are very price sensitive, especially when it comes to grocery. Organics are important to everybody, and that's been a popular category too. So there's a lot of cross currents that are really changing, and Amazon is undeniably an extremely important force in transforming expectations around convenience as well. So all these things have been happening with what's happening with the middle as well.
I want to talk a little bit about digitally native apparel companies. You know, can these models make money? I guess very simply.
Yeah, we've seen really good success at Revolve. That's been a retailer that's been digitally native for many, many years and done a great job self-financing. And they historically do over 200 events a year. So they're we're mixing real in person in a very different way, and in some ways repurposing rent expense for live events. And what's really happened now is pivoting to Revolve Shopping Network, live streaming, beauty, loungewear, as dresses have downtrended a lot. So that's one good example. I think there are some great examples like Roan and men's and active, and you really have to execute to a very superior brand and point of difference in the apparel space. The apparel space is very fragmented, and price can be a fierce risk factor in terms of competition. So we'll see. I think Bombas has done a great job with socks and specific accessories, but it's crowded in apparel. So the importance of curation and having a brand that stands for a true innovation is important, because the margin structure is much harder when your average unit retails, are below 100. So those are all considerations. And you have great apparel at Costco. I mean, we can go look great at Target and Costco, and I wear Target ties as well as Hermes ties. And so the apparel category has been under many years of deflationary pressure, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like one of the themes with younger consumers, or all consumers today, is pricing transparency, and the kind of games that department stores and some apparel companies used to play, where the price was never really the price. You sort of knew it was always on sale. That feels very dated, and I think we'll see retailers kind of moving away from that, because consumers are really, kind of demanding and appreciating pricing transparency.
Yeah, that's true. Less is more with respect to pricing and promotions too, because people do not want to be tricked or surprised or have to layer multiple coupons. So the rise of a simpler pricing structure that still gives you a discount and some excitement around a discount is important. The rise of non-tender loyalty programs with simple points-based transactions is important, and the rise of new forms of payment and new forms of layaway that appeal to Generation Z, such as Klarna and others, are really important to the whole seamless transaction. So the question for non-tender loyalty points, as well as measuring customer interaction and artificial intelligence, is privacy and trust as well. And how will retail embrace or use price discrimination or not in terms of customers? That's a newer frontier which is evolving as well.
So this might end up on the cutting room floor, depending on what the answer is. But I'm interested in payment options, and you mentioned Klarna. It's interesting to me that younger consumers don't have credit cards, but they want these options like Klarna that allow them to pay over time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think what's happened is younger consumers and consumers don't want necessarily the friction or the stress of a filling out a credit card application, and also want a certain degree of simplification and transparency. And also, it's funny because mobile is the new mall, and QVC and HSN was live streaming, and I had layaway from my Nintendo Game Boy in Natchitoches, Louisiana. So this is digitization of old is new, just like fashion, right? Like a lot of the principles of fashion are reinventing, old traditions. So I see it that way as a relevant way to tap into a new generation that's very technologically enabled. I think the difference in payments, in my view, is this whole intersection of social commerce and payments, and some degree of sharing, what you're doing online, and Venmo and other formats, being a way to also connect and engage, and drive user generated content and be more playful. But certainly, with these new ways to shop, with Klarna, there's an elegance in the simplification, and there's access, given you can spread out the payments, and then there's more transparency around the penalties than there is a credit card.
Yeah. So, Oliver, a lot of the themes right now are about convenience and utility as sort of a brand promise that attract consumers, and this is why companies are standing out. But growing up in retail, it was really all about product. It was all about the merchant prints, and the product is the number one reason that we're here. Do you see a return to product, or is product less important than it once was? How do we think about that in the context of what's happening today?
Yeah, Liz, I'm personally obsessed with product, as part of my North Star for existing and loving and being passionate. But retail's forever changed. It used to be stack it high, watch it fly, and also key item driven. And there used to be a lot of consistency or sameness, which turned into a liability, as we've moved online. The future is what we call magic plus logic. So, what is logic? It's really thinking about artificial intelligence and customer interaction, and trying to supercharge what customers want, and also try to discover what they want before they even know it, or not, or when they know it and you can test, read, and react. So what is magic and logic? It means marrying merchants and design teams and creative with data, and using data in a way that can still surprise and delight. I think it's a balance. I think sameness leads to lots of problems, and you need more newness than ever before and novelty, but you have to change with the consumer, and the consumer is busy generating content and having a two-way conversation that you can choose to listen to or not, which is happening as we really see the democratization of fashion and these direct consumer linkages across influencers and micro influencers and communities being developed. So it's a balance, but AI holds a big future in this creative content that's being generation, as well as speed. And what does that mean for supply chains? It means flexible fabric platforming. It means test, read, and react, and it means responding and innovating. But you will always need things that surprise and delight the customer, and that's the name of retail at its finest, and creating and curating to a superior experience that is part of the cultural zeitgeist of the time, and being culturally relevant. Being culturally relevant, to me, means really tapping into personal style, you being you, body positivity, as well as racial injustice too.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that product is still your North Star, despite the fact that you've taken machine learning courses and data science aspect of everything. It's good to hear that product
Yeah,
is still
I
key.
think this core aspect of innovation and product needs to deliver across function and fashion, and and features. What we see in clothing is fabric technology really helping transform how people look and feel too. So there's lots that can happen.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I love to talk to you. I can't wait until we can meet in person. And but you've given me some good ideas. I'm going to check out Bulgari's cocktail, especially tonight, election night. But thank you, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Liz, TikTok too. That is loads of fun. But Liz, it was great being with you, and excited about the next chapter of retail. A lot of optimism. Despite the crisis. Thank you.
We want to support you. Meaning lies within you.
Thanks for watching, and join us for the next episode, CEO Roundtable.